Thanks for having me, guys. John and Chris and Cece are like family to me, and long-time friendship, so I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Andre's a dear friend of ours. I've known Andre for a long time. Andre's got great stories in the hobby. He's been around a ton of dealers, collectors. He's got the craziest stories, the best stories, and he loves the hobby just like we do. So we're excited to have you on stage today.
So, like everybody in here, Andre started collecting young, but maybe tell them what you were collecting as a young kid, which is maybe different from what other kids you were hanging out with were collecting at the time.
Yeah, I think in the early 70s, I was going to the flea markets and I was buying tobacco cards for 25 cents a piece. So I love the era of the 70s. I had thousands of cards, but for some reason, I love these tobacco cards, and I bought them all. And they were in like showcases with silver spoons and pocket watches. So I had cobs that I was buying for like under 20 bucks. So by the time
Tie cob or
Tie cob, it was incredible. Nobody really cared. They actually, so I was buying all of them. And then by the time I got to high school, I had this massive collection. I actually had a showcase, like a dealer showcase in my house, you know, in '78. So I was like, you know, I'm in high school, I want to get a badass car. So I sold them. And I got $5,000 back in '78. But I went and bought a 454 Monte Carlo and made it into a show car, you know. But then, of course, today it'd be worth a fortune, right? But
yeah,
that's the way it goes.
So while most kids were collecting '70s Topps cards, you were looking for old tobacco cards, which is different from most people in the hobby. I'm sure there's plenty of people in this room that grew up in the same era and were collecting some, you know, the '70s Topps. So you're collecting, and maybe it's not a full-time thing. When did you was it when you bought the car? Did you realize, hey, I can make some money doing this?
That's well, after that, I was out of it for a while. Then I bought a collection at a garage sale. I sold it and made some money. And then I was like, wow, I want to get back into business. So I went to the New York Times, and I see a guy selling this collection. I meet him in the city. And then I called my friend. I said, who's the best, most reputable dealer in the business in New York City? He said, John Brigandi. So I said, there's John. And that's where I met John. So I drive down to John. I have this collection. And the craziest thing is, you know, John taught me a lot. So he turns off he's looking at these cards, and he turns off the light. I'm like, why does he turn off the light? And he puts a blue light on these cards. I'm like, John, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm going to teach you something. He said, the guys from the art business, they were restoring artwork, and then they got into cards. They were restoring these cards from the 30s and making them look like they were near mint. But you couldn't tell unless you put the blue light on, and it would show purple where the resins were touched. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So then, but the cards were good. John bought the cards. I call the guy back, you got anything else? He goes, yeah, I got another shipment for you. I come back, I meet him, I do him again, John, make money again. Then the third time, this guy, I got a really big shipment for you. And then I go see John, and John says, oh, they're all been touched. They all were recolored, retouched, re-glued, tampered with. And I was like, oh, shit. This guy ripped me off. He set me up. So I called him back. He gave me the money back. But then I said to myself, wait a minute. John, does anybody know about this blue light thing? He goes, no. I said, not many people know about it. I said, wait a minute. I can make this into a portable device. Right?
Hang on 1 second, Andre. So just give everyone background. What year is this roughly?
I think we're in the 80s at some point.
Okay.
Late 80s.
So this is well before PSA, SGC.
Yeah, way before grading started. Way before grading started. So I said to myself, if I make this portable, then collectors could check and they won't get ripped off. So I went to Home Depot. It's a true story. I went to Home Depot. I found the Speed D basin. It's a plumbing supply. And I velcroed a blue light in and a white light in and put magnifiers in there. And it worked incredible. You put the card in, you were able to check whether it was touched, and the white light and the magnification worked beautiful. Pick up any creases or ankles in it, and I sold $100,000 of them in 6 months, making them out of my garage.
This is like a Shark Tank story.
Yeah, and if you went to Houston to the National, these little periscopes were on every single dealer's table, including Rosen. Mr. Mint had them. Everybody had them. It was well known. And the guys who were tampering said, oh, I can't get away with it anymore because this scope is going to catch me. They were buying them from me, and I knew who they were, and a lot of people know who these people are. But anyway, so we kind of cleaned up the hobby, you know, before, and then Dave Foreman and the SGC and PS, everybody kind of took it to the next level by sealing him and starting grading. But this was like the pre to grading, and it started with John Brigandi.
Yeah, so pre-PSA and SGC,
it was
JB was turning the lights off and shining the blue light around.
What else was happening?
And here we are. car, now everybody's collecting cards. Yeah, so we love that story, and that's why we go way back with Andre through Chris's father. So great stories with cards, and then Andre, tell everybody about, now you're getting good at this, you're the blue light guy, and tell them, did you ever open a store? Did you have any, were you a vendor anywhere?
I just started with eBay and all that stuff, but then, the Yankee Stadium story has to come in right now. But
Clearly.
So I went into Yankee Stadium when they opened the new stadium, and I'm like, wow, there's some really cool stuff, current players, Jeter, Mariano, all that stuff, but where's the vintage? Where's Mantles and the Roots, and where's the cards? Where's the history? So, I always believe, vision becomes reality. So I started thinking, I'm going to get into the stadium and I'm going to sell cards, and I will be in the stadium in 2 weeks. I told everybody. They're like, you're out of your mind. There's no way you're going to get in the Yankee Stadium. So I called this guy who was like my best friend. He was just recently at my wedding, actually. The Yankees were at my wedding. Thank you. The Yankees were at my wedding. But so, anyway, there's my wife right there, Ellen. Thank you.
Congrats.
So I call him up. We go into the Yankee boardroom. The 60-foot mahogany tables and trophies. We're sitting down with all the executives. They say, Andre, we're going to ask you all these questions to see what you know. So I answer all the questions because I've been doing it since I'm 10 years old. But then one guy, I cannot mention the name, but one guy said, well, I gave 5 World Series box seats to a friend, and he gave me a Babe Ruth card as a return gift. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to show it to you. So, and they laugh about this. This is still a Yankee story. So he comes back with the Babe Ruth card, and this is in the boardroom now. I realize all the executives there. He shows me the card, and I throw it at him. He said, what the hell are you doing? I said, it's fake. It's not even worth 5 cents. I'm sorry. He said, well, my best friend, he gave me this card. It's a Babe Ruth. I said, no, it's not. It's fake. And here's my card. You call me when you figure it out. So 2 days later, they called me back and said, you know what? You were right. This card was fake. And we wanted to set you up in the stadium. Go anywhere in the stadium, pick out wherever you want. We're going to build a kiosk. I want you in by Friday. And it was Tuesday. So that's how it happened. I went to the museum, and there was a 40-foot wall there. And I said, that's the wall I want. And Jimmy would always visit me too. Jimmy Spence helping me out for years, Jimmy. So we were right next to the museum, and that's where we started. And we killed it. We just crushed it. The Yankee collectors were buying like crazy, and the Yankees were ecstatic about it because we came out and, built this beautiful thing, and that's where it led to meeting Linda Ruth and the Ruth family, and that's where you guys got the cards from Linda. But tons of stories.
Outside of collecting, I just love the business story you just told about telling everyone you're going to be in there, and then 2 weeks later. And what era of the Yankees, or what year was this roughly when you first started?
2009. As soon as they opened up.
New stadium just opened.
Yeah, it just opened up.
So
the first 2 weeks of opening up. Yeah.
They re-signed A-Rod, they got CC, they got AJ Burnett, and they got Andre. All in the same offseason. So it was a hell of a year, and obviously that year they win the World Series. So one thing, it's super impressive you were able to get in there in such a premium spot, because anybody who's been to Yankee Stadium, any of the local stadiums in the city, vendors in there for memorabilia and collectibles, those are big time players, right? Those aren't
big time corporate.
Yeah, we all know the companies that were there, that are there now, and they just dominate. So the fact that you went in there one day and said, yeah, I'm going to be in here, and it worked out is super impressive. Not many people could have pulled it off. So before we talk about what you're doing today, 09 Yankees World Series year, you're in the stadium, you're selling cards. I'm sure you have some awesome stories, being in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. Anything cool that you think people in the room would like to hear?
There's so many. I don't even know where to start, but I know we talked about a couple. When Jeter went for the 3,000 hits, I would go down for batting practice every day. And I would see the guys, and I was allowed to be right there. And I watched every baseball player in batting practice, and Jeter was the greatest batting practice hitter I've ever seen. And I did play baseball. I had a contract with the Yankees as well. My mother passed away the next week. I didn't sign, and I never made it back. But I made it back as a baseball card dealer 30 years later. But yeah, so what happened is I'd watch Jeter, and I'm telling you, he hit ropes every single pitch. Like not a ground ball, and a pop-up, rope after rope after rope. So when he went, and he was quiet. He never said a word to anybody. Once he crossed those lines, Jeter was all business. So I said, I'm going to go see him for 3,000 hits. I'm going down. I go down to see Jeter, and he was all excited. I never saw him like this. I said, Derek, you're going to get those hits today. He goes, yeah, man, I'm going to get him. He was all pumped up. And then Reggie comes out in uniform. I was like, oh, Reggie's in uniform today. So something must be up. So Reggie comes out in front of me, and Jeter's here. Reggie's here. No one else is around me. And Reggie starts talking in Jeter's ear, like, this is your day, man. You're going to do this. You're going to do it. And you're going to break the record today. And you're going to hit one out to do it. And what did he do? 5 for 5 and hit the home run to break the record. And Reggie called it. And I have the picture of Reggie telling him in his ear. No one heard that, but Reggie said, you're going to hit a home run. You're going to hit one out to do it. And Jeter went ahead. And when he went 5 for 5 that day, hit that home run, the concrete was shaking. I was right there. The concrete was shaking. It was an unbelievable experience, but that was one of the great ones.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. And then anything from being a vendor by the museum, any cool encounters, run-ins?
Yeah, well, I think we talked about a couple. There was, well, I'm going to real quick, but one time there was a gentleman looking at my showcases of cards, and his nose was like touching the showcase. It was like, I'm like, excuse me, sir, that's a Roger Maris rookie. He goes, I know, I'm Roger Maris' son. I'm Kevin, Roger Maris' son. I was like, and he had the crew cut. He looked exactly like Roger. I thought I'm looking at Roger. I'm like, holy cow. I said, wait a minute, Kev, I have something for you. He said, what do you got? Just hold on. So I had the 61 home run newspaper framed, and I said, Kevin, look at this. And all of a sudden, the tears start coming down. And I said, Kevin, wait, I got something else. I have the 58 newspaper when your father was signed from the Indians over to the Yankees. I showed it to him, and he starts cheering like this. So I take a picture of him with it, and I said, I also had a little children's jacket that had Maris on it. And I said, I donated it to him for the museum. But we became friends with the Marises, and I sent Maris, I had a collection, and it was a picture of him as a little child with his father and mother, and I sent it to him, and it was very cool. And the other one was, I was at my kiosk, and this big family comes up, a whole bunch of people, and they're like, hey, you got any Jordan Maggio stuff? I said, yeah, I have a couple cards. You got anything else? I have newspapers. What else you got? Gloves, bats. Well, I started lining up like a whole row of everything. And he goes, I will take it all. I'm the DiMaggio family, and we're going to take it all. Here's my Black American Express. We'll take everything. DiMaggio bought the whole thing out. It was incredible. We had so much fun there.
That's awesome, yeah. I just asked those because I'm a huge Yankee fan, so that was for me.
Yeah, I've heard all those stories, and I was still just like smiling the entire time you were saying
that was for me, guys. But thanks for listening. So let's get back to the hobby, Andre. You're not going to flea markets anymore for tobacco cards, at least I don't think. Tell everybody in the room what you're up to today within the hobby.
So Vintage Sports Card Club is the website, Vintage Sports Card Club, and I am on eBay, and I'm on eBay Live now. eBay has a live segment. They're just developing it. I do a lot on Whatnot. Also, Whatnot is a new platform and website, and I work with these guys too to sell some great pieces as well. But, you know, we're basically more online and in stadiums. The Yankees own Legends Hospitality, and Legends also contracts to many other stadiums. They have the Cowboys, they have the Chargers, the Browns, Angels, lots of different stadiums that they control the merchandise in. So I'm going to be branching out next year into some of the other stadiums as well. I did all the New York teams at one time for a while there.
I do want to talk about what's on your finger there, on your right hand here.
Yeah, well, that was, you know, it was at the end of the season when they won. Well, one more quick one, but when they won, my guy, Mike, says, hey, come with me. He says, I want to just pick up those bats over there. Come with me. All right, pick up the bats. He goes, we go in the elevator. I walk out. I'm in Brian Cashman's office, and I'm delivering him the World Series bat. I had no idea. So I deliver Cashman the bat, and he says, my friend Andre is delivering me the World Series bat. And I look up on the wall, and it had the roster, right? But Matsui had an X through him. And 1 week later, he was gone. And it was X on the wall. I was like, oh, wow, I saw the X on the wall. then I go into Lon Trose's office, the CFO. I deliver the World Series bat. I go to Steinbrenner's office. I deliver the World Series bat. So we had lots of moments like that. But at the end of the year, after they won, we went back to the boardroom, and they said, we consider you part of the team, and we're going to give you and my brother, who helped me, the World Series rings for 2009. We're going to consider you part of the team, and here's your ring. So it was like full circle for me.
So Andre got the ring. He wears it proudly, and We love it. As we mentioned before, guys, you're all getting, it's not signed by the great Bambino, it's signed by his granddaughter, Linda, who Andre has a great friendship with, and he was kind enough to, I think, did you put
there's one in every gift
bags
bag
over there? So
Yeah.
before you leave tonight, guys, grab a gift bag.
Linda's amazing. She's really amazing. We started a licorice company too, the Long Ball Licorice and Round Tripper Red Raspberry with Babe Ruth's family, and I've done that for about 15 years. It comes out of Australia. There's been some problems getting it out, so kind of stopped manufacturing. But for like 15 years, we did this together. It was a lot of fun.
So next time we'll get you guys some licorice too. And last but not least, let's show everybody what you got in there. I'll hold the mic.
I'm betting it's a Mets piece.
What was interesting at the stadium was Munson is so loved. He was like the most loved player I've seen. Obviously Mickey Mantle and Jeter and stuff like that, but there was a special love for Munson. And I met probably 100 to 150 guys that had number 15 tattooed on the leg, on the arm, on the back. It was just like, it was like a religion. Munson was something special. And this is his last game pants from 1979, his last pants he ever wore. I actually met at the stadium, it's got the Munson right there, yeah, that's his last pants in '79. It was an away game, August 1st, '79, I believe, and I acquired those. I also have a couple of personal things. I have Joe DiMaggio's tuxedo when he married Marilyn Monroe. I have his Gucci clock.
You should have worn the tuxedo tonight.
Yeah, I know. It's getting beautiful for me. I have lots of unusual pieces that I kept myself. But the one thing about Thurman, I'll never forget, the guy, when I talked to this guy about the pants, he goes, well, wait a minute, I have this car. So what do you mean? He said, see this picture, his 450 SL convertible is in my garage that he drove to the airport, and the cigar is still in the ashtray. I mean, this is the kind of collectors that I met through the Yankees. And, you know, Thurman was just like a god to these people. So anything I ever had, Thurman sells like crazy. It still does today. But in the stadium, it's just something really special.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. Obviously, there's diehard Yankee collectors. Munson is so rare. His signature is so rare. We love handling pieces like that. They're becoming tougher and tougher to find. But also, I think younger generations, sadly, might be kind of forgetting just how good he was, how special he was. So it'll be interesting over the next few years as more guys are getting into the Hall of Fame. Does Thurman, crack the Hall of Fame? And then I think if he does, now the diehard Yankee fans, they're not the only guys collecting Munson. Now you're getting a much broader collectibility on one of the toughest and best players of all time.
Yeah, just like Mattingly, Munson, these guys have always been on the cusp of the Hall, and we always see that in the hobby. As soon as you get in,
You had to say Mattingly, right? You need a Mattingly story real quick.
I don't think we have a choice.
So Mattingly, the first time he came back to the Yankees, he said, Andre, you go around the back, get behind the outfield wall. Mattingly's going to be introduced. You got to get down there. So I go down, and Mattingly is right here. I get stand next to Don Mattingly, and there's 50, 60,000 people waiting for him to come through the outfield wall. And I'm standing right next to him. I said, I'm going to walk in with Mattingly. I'm going to feel what this is like. So I'm right next to Mattingly, and they open the outfield wall, and I walk right next to him, and the 50,000 screaming fans. Like Mattingly it was unbelievable. And I was 2 feet away from him. And it was such an amazing feeling there, And we forgot to mention one more thing, is I used to go around the back. After the game, I'd lock up, because I wanted to always be with the players. So I'd go behind the outfield wall, and Sabathia or Andy Pettit or Girardi, I would play catch with them in the stadium when nobody was there, completely empty. And Andy Pettit would be thrown to his son hit the ball, and I'd catch. And I'd be thrown with them. And sometimes I said, what am I doing here? The stadium's empty. I was like meant to be, like somehow I got here. And I remember with Girardi, he did it after every game with his son. So I go around the back, catch the balls, and throw to them, and it was a really special feeling, because the stadium when it's empty is a very unusual feeling. It's something I'll never forget. So it was really awesome.
well,
I'm gonna stop now.
we're gonna have a line set up if anybody wants Andre's autograph afterwards.
All good.
Andre, thanks for coming, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The best stories, a gem. And let's give it up for him, guys.
Thanks again, Andre. Real quick, Andre also donated something for the raffle. It was a 1970. No,
It's a triple signed card. Bucky Dent, Willie Randolph, and Greg Nettles. 77 Yankees, a limited edition card of 25.
Thank you, sir.
So that's going to be one of the raffle items to end the night.